Hi guys. Sorry, I'm letting my phone catch up. Everything's charging right now because I can't. So the camera's charging right now, which is why my computer's on, so super noisy. And my phone is charging over here because I didn't charge it last night, I guess. Sorry, I had to change it. I'm gonna close the door because that like dark space back there is gonna freak me out. Basically, questions. Aha, okay, so book questions, right? Do you buy multiple copies of your favorite book? No. I own too many books already. I understand the problems with buying and owning too many books. I don't like buying them unless I know for certain that it's something that's going to be beneficial to me. Also, with nonfiction, it's like reference material, right? So if it's something that I can read once and I don't need to go back to it ever again, I won't buy it. So I do have 2 copies of one book, or I got rid of the other one because I loaned it to somebody. And this was somebody that I don't really talk to, like we don't hang out. I didn't never see him again, but I didn't see him for like a year and a half or something, like an extremely long period of time. So I just bought another copy, and then later he was like, oh hey, here's your book back. And I was like, ah. I got rid of the second copy. The other reason why you would have more than one copy is, like, for instance, the Harry Potter books have multiple different covers. So maybe you have multiple collections just for aesthetic purposes because they look different. I cannot imagine why one person would need more than one copy of the same book apart from those 2 reasons. Kindle versus a hard copy, like a book form. I read both. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I, at all times, am reading 2 books. So, book. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean. The book, like the hard copy book, I read and I sometimes take it with me when I'm going places and I know I have to wait, or just like in and around my house and I read it during the day. So it's usually when Jack's like playing video games or something, that kind of a thing, I will read like the hardcover, but sometimes it's just convenience factor to have it on the Kindle, or like I just read on my phone using the Kindle app. You can get more books for free on like reading sites than you can get like free books. It's cheaper. It doesn't take up as much space. There's just like, I understand that it absolutely has its pros and its cons. Some people have a certain feeling one way over the other. I don't. Okay, this next one. Do you agree Harry Potter is overrated or not? No, I absolutely love Harry Potter. I think a lot of work went into the world and the characters, and it's fantastic. I still reread the books now as an almost 30-year-old person. I know people who are like, I mean, my dad loved the books, and I think when we were reading them, he was in his late 50s. I don't know of anybody who actually thinks they're overrated. I think it's been kind of blown out of proportion as far as like merchandise goes, but I do think like there's a lot of merchandise out there, like much more than I think we need to have, but I don't know. I still think it's phenomenal. Paperback or hardback, and to me, we're just going back to the Kindle thing, like they each have their uses, right? So here are my issues with hardcover paperback. Okay, so paperback. I have had this book. I literally do not know when I got this book. My parents got this for me. Chronicles of Narnia, right? This is the entire collection, right? Like all of the books. So in Mr. Austin's 5th grade class, I was reading the book at this point. I was on page 414. Prince Caspian, Aslan makes a door in the air, and my book was like this on the edge of the desk, right? And for some reason, I probably just had like a bunch of crap on my desk. I don't know. But someone walked past my desk and sideswiped the book, just like full on, and ripped it in half, like legit ripped it in half. You see that? And so I used engineering tape, like the black tape, to hold it closed. But like it's holding together. It also has some water damage. It's like yellowed and cover's all torn up and like, you know, it's in rough shape. Then you have this problem. See the spine here where it's got all the crackies in it. And so the spine doesn't look the same. This one is also taped together because the cracky, like the actual like binding here, like this wrap on the cover was starting to fall apart because of the cracks in the spine. Paperbacks are, it's rough. It's like, it's not super great. But then you have the problem of hardcovers, right? So this, most of the time I usually take the sleeve off the hardcovers, but here we go. We've got some water damage in here, but the bottom, it's like all scuffed up still. Like, it doesn't really matter what hardcover paperback, but this is definitely in much better shape. This not so much. So this is my copy of Eclipse. I am not like a huge Twilight fan. Let me just preface this by saying I'm not even like super invested in this book. Anyway, this boy in my class was like, "What are you reading?" And I was like, I don't even know what I said to him, but I do remember distinctly him saying, "What are you reading?" in that like 12-year-old boy voice. And me trying to get him to leave me alone because like obviously I'm reading. Somewhere in here, I don't know, he drew on it in crayon. Like, he had a crayon in his hand and he drew in my book. So, aggressive me that I am, I took the book and I whacked him over the head with it, like with the spine, and cut him like. Anyway, it tore the spine like pretty much off the book. So now, and then I did tape it together that day, which is why you can see like these little tape marks. They did not hold because it was just Scotch tape. So now I haven't read the book since. Like, I'm scared to. I'm scared that the cover is just gonna fall off. As far as like durability, yeah, the hardcovers will look better longer, but they're not indestructible, right? The rest of these books, and then like water damage affects all books like the same. So yeah, your book might be less out of shape with a hardcover, but it's still like gonna be out of shape. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's personal preference. The hardcovers, yeah, are harder to like read one-handed. Hardcovers are more expensive, so that may be a factor for you. I don't know. It's personal preference for everybody. I do not have a preference. Okay, this one's a good one. Are classics good or not? I have been trying to read Little Women since I was a little woman. Like, I think I started trying to read it. My mom gave me her copy when I was like, maybe like 11 or 12. I was not like little, but like pretty young. I tried really hard and I actually got, I want to say like a good quarter of the way through, and then I just flipped through the rest because I couldn't stand it. I have since tried to read from one end to the other 20 plus times. Like, I'm not joking. And I cannot get through it. Joe at one point I think was my favorite, but I have a very vague recollection of that. And then this whole thing with Lori, the neighbor kid, my issue with him is this like, will you, won't you, and hooking up with the other sister. Like, I don't know. I can't even get through the movie, guys. Like, I really don't like it. However, there are other classics that I love, right? And so I can't just say as a whole classics suck. Oh, I do like mysteries, so Holmes books are good. I don't know if they count as classics. They might count as classics now, but Jurassic Park books are good. Dante, I have Dante's Inferno. Count of Monte Cristo. Invisible Man is good. Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys. Dune is good. It's just personal preference. So you either like that type of book or you don't. And so you're gonna like some classics and you're not gonna like others. And you shouldn't just want to like it, like, just because it's a classic. So yes and no on the classics. Okay, so audiobooks or reading books. and then like whether or not they even count as reading, right? So for me, I can't really focus on an audiobook. I can remember information, but if I'm doing another task, it gets lost. Like half of it, 50% of that information is I don't have. So I did have to drive back from Texas this summer, and I got, what book was that? It was a mystery book. I can't remember which one it was, but I got the audiobook because I knew I was going to be driving back from Texas. It can be 13 hours. So I was like, I need an audiobook or something, because there's no way music is going to get me like all the way home. Even just driving on these like long stretches of highway with like, you're not really focusing on stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm trying to do another task, and I still felt like I wasn't retaining as much information. I found out later that I actually was, but that information, I feel like it just wasn't like sinking in. I don't know, it's not for me. If I had to like choose one or the other for the rest of my life kind of a thing, I would definitely choose just reading a book. Again, it's one of those things where it has pros and cons and different people are going to react to it differently, but personally, for me, they are not for me, but go ahead. I think it counts as reading a book. Okay, so this one I've never come across before. Are characters more important than the plot of the book? So like, if you don't really like the plot of the book, but you really like the characters, you'll continue reading. And for me, it's a holistic experience. Like, if you don't like any aspect of a book, it completely detracts from the experience of the book. You need everything. This is why when I'm telling authors, like, make your outline. You have to know what you're going to talk about. But if you don't know what is going to happen in the story, it's not a book, it's an idea. If I were to publish a book, right, I would need to like make sure I have an outline. I hit all my key points. Like you gotta have all the parts in the right order and make sure that it works with a good story progression, and make sure you get all your character development, because you need to have people invested in your characters or you're not going to be able to keep them like in the story. If you have any questions about your story, you need to make sure like the world is like fully formed, and when you're asking your friends and they read it, if they have any questions, you need to make sure that the plot and the world are solid 100%, because if you have questions and you're like, I'm not really sure, but it's book magic, that's like, you need to know what's going on. You need to be able to explain it to the reader without having to talk to them. If you can't make that work, it's just not going to be a successful book. It's just not. If you've lost one, you're going to lose me. Doesn't matter how much I love the characters. If you have no plot, you've lost me. Doesn't matter how much of a great plot and world you have. If I hate the characters, you've lost me. Doesn't matter. You need both. You just always need both. Alright, well, it is now almost 10 o'clock. I've been recording for almost an hour now, and I haven't eaten yet, so it's breakfast time for me. I'm gonna go, and I will see you guys soon with another video.